Good day.
Much better.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Yeah, and it sounds much, yeah, no static. I don't know what that was.
That was, we haven't had our morning coffee.
This is mine. If Catherine has to have coffee, me, I'm okay if I just have water.
Oh, good.
So you were asking, what have I learned since we talked last? Did we talk about the ability for the average person to create um, passive income with their expert status? We talked about that, didn't we?
We touched on it. We talked about the fact that we all have a skill and a talent, and we can leverage that to our advantage because we can share it with others. And there's ways that, you know, now more than ever on the media, we can actually share that across the internet to a much larger audience because we're not living in, 20-mile radius of where we were born.
Yeah, used to if you're an author or a singer, um, the two main ones I can think of, you could sign a book deal or you could sign a recording contract. If you're a actor, of course, you could sign with a studio. But now, because the masses, the people, have access to the media, there's no capital barrier. All the gatekeepers have been removed. We don't have to, be an actor or a movie star or an author. We can take whatever our expert status is. Say you're a real estate agent or you're a financial planner or you're a whatever, you can take that expert status, and because of access to the masses through the internet, you can create passive income with it. I mean, I think that's a very, very amazing thing that most people don't think about.
Well, there's a lot of philosophical challenges people have with, okay, what's the ROI on my podcast? What's the ROI on social media? What's the ROI on XYZ? And I think people need to turn it around and say, okay, that's, a billion people that you have the opportunity to have a conversation with. That's the whole philosophy that you work with is starting a conversation. And, rather than going down to the local hardware store and talking with your neighbor, it's
Or
now.
or Russ going and using the old media, the push media, to advertise through radio, TV, newspaper. All that is starting a conversation, trying to start a conversation with somebody, get somebody to call you, right?
Well, yeah, and think of it as this internet super highway, right? All of a sudden you have billboards in China, Europe, Africa, anywhere you want.
Right. And like I say, that's a great point. Is now all that old media is doing is trying to start a conversation, get people to call you. Well,
Yeah,
now that's all this is doing is you've got access. You said a billion. I think what technically there's like 3 billion. Almost half the world's on the internet or has access.
right.
And
And I guess my point was is out of that 3 or 4 billion, and there's more people being born than are dying every day. So,
right,
I
and
mean, the numbers are increasing.
and like you said earlier, we're just at the very beginning of this shift.
Yeah.
I was thinking something the other day, Russ. I was telling Catherine, those of you who don't know, well, first of all, that's russjohns.com, and I'm Ronald Earl Wilshire.
.com.
Or I just go by my short name, ronaldwilshire.com, on the interwebs. I was talking to Catherine.
Who
Uh,
also is doing very well on the internet.
Amazing things. We'll have to bring her on and talk to her.
Absolutely.
But I was telling her, my son, your son is 23, did you tell me, or 21?
I have two sons, 22 and 25.
Okay, and my son just turned 26
Uh-huh.
a couple of months ago. Do you realize our kids, Russ, are the first generation that will not show their kids black and white photos of themselves. You have black and white photos, I'm sure, of yourself. I have black and white photos that my parents took of me back in the mid to late 60s.
Sure.
But your kids and my kids, there's no more black and white photos, so they'll never get to show their kids black and white photos. It's all in color now from here to eternity, because you don't take black and white photos. You take color and turn it into black and white.
Yeah,
So,
I was just going to say, unless you purposefully remove the color or
so
use a filter for that.
I think, things like that are happening. It's so strange what we're going through. And like I say, we're at the very beginning of it. And what I want to be able to do on these talks is to really talk about things that you don't normally hear, but mainly from our point of view that I think people will relate to. And because I'm so big, you've got all these people out there focusing on the technology, which you do that and you do it well, which you do it in a lot different manner than most people. But
But it's not about the technology. It's
it's a,
really,
it's
it's
about it's about the psychology.
absolutely, absolutely. And we're going through a huge shift. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're going through a huge shift in life. I mean, this is monumental. This is the, it's like the Industrial Revolution. It's like getting on a boat and going across the ocean for the first time.
Well, I think it's the you know it's this is the like when the Gutenberg press was invented, giving everybody a Gutenberg press. Not only that, also giving them a television station to boot. I
And
mean,
a radio tower.
and a radio tower. I mean, you have access to all this media sitting at your house, and uh, you have access to 3+ billion people as an audience. I mean, that's
The only limitation is your own creativity.
absolutely. And that's what's totally amazing. So it's like I always say, technology is cool, but technology always changes. If you focus on the psychology of the new media, you're going to get a lot further along, because the technology, once you learn the basics, what you teach, you can take your personality and go whatever direction you want, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I always tell people, we talk about the time versus money, and I'm going to make a slideshow about that and stick it on SlideShare and start sharing it. Money's important, absolutely, but it's not nearly as important as your time. We all know why. Number one, you can always go
Right.
make more money, or if I give you money, that's not a big deal. I can go make more money, but if I give you my time, man, that's something that I can never get back. So my point in that is that when you start understanding exactly how to leverage that time, that's the only way you're going to create passive income. So you can go and do what you want with your time. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, absolutely. And its scale, if the word scalability is frowned on in some circles. However, there is this essence of these are all channels. Ultimately, YouTube, internet, Google Hangouts, WordPress, all of these, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're all channels. And the difference is 20 years ago, only the broadcasters had access to these channels.
Right. Absolutely.
So now, depending on what personality you have and what channel you select to carry your conversation on, is unique to you. And there's nobody in the way telling you that you have to do it a certain way, we've talked many times about different recording artists that fit in somebody else's box because a producer or a record exec said, hey, I want somebody to sing a certain way.
And I want you to do it this way, and it doesn't
And
work.
yeah, you got to sing that completely different, change your hair, change your name, change your song, the old, uh, we've talked about that story. And so today, you're only limited to your own creativity. And because you can reach out to billions of people, there are going to be a certain number of them that are going to resonate with your message, your voice, the way you present it, everything that you do. So do not stop and say, well, somebody's already doing that. Well, yeah,
Well,
there's a lot of people that are probably doing it. They're not
but
doing it the way you do it.
not in your way. I always tell people nobody's ever seen the world through your eyes. And so you have the ability now to show people how you see the world, and I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. Some people's going to like you and some people aren't going to like you. But what kind of finishing up what we were talking about a while ago, time versus money. So if time is your most valuable asset on this deal, then instead of spending all your time trying to learn how to sell, it's much more important to spend your time understanding why people buy. And when you start understanding how powerful that is, see, that you don't have to be a salesman. You have the channel.
So hold on, time out. So if you learn the psychology of why people buy,
Well,
you don't.
exactly. I was wondering if you're gonna connect those two.
Well, yeah, people don't like to be sold. People like to buy, as our
Right,
friend Gittimer says.
right.
And if people want to buy from you, and you're selling something they want, they're gonna buy.
If they like you, that's the point. Because I ask time in my talks, think
Yeah.
about this, Russ. If I don't like you, do I really care what you sell?
No.
Okay, now answer this question. If I like you,
Say
does
there's
it
gonna
really?
be you didn't say there was going to be a test today.
Well, this is semi. If I like you, think about this. If I like you, does it really matter what you sell?
No.
See? So, because what'll happen? Number one, if I don't like you and you have something I want to buy, I'll go find somebody else that has it. But number two, if I like you and I don't even want what you sell, what will I do though that's probably better? I'll go and start talking about you because I
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah.
He's not selling what I want, but man, I want to start talking about him and sending people to him. I mean, it happens to me. I do it all the time. You
Right.
know?
Right. And that's I've been working for the last couple of years, and there's still people that don't understand what I do, and I'm sure you get the same thing. It's like I don't really understand what you do, but I like hanging out with you. You have a good vibe. Can I buy something from you so we can work together?
Well, see, you're right. I had a guy come up to me because people come up to me all the time. They go, "Ronnie, you never told me what you do for a living." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I didn't."
Yeah.
And so, but he was on my. This guy's name is Ted, and he's on my email list, my way cool friends list. If you want to join, and I think you're cool, go to ronaldwilshire.com, and we'll talk about it. And yours is
RussJohns.com.
and what's the name of it? Get in
Get
the
your name
game.
in the
In the game.
game.
I like that. Anyway,
You're
so
not
he
playing unless you're in the game, right?
well, people in the game should never take advice from people in the stands. Remember that.
That's true.
Um, anyway, he'd been getting my emails for over a year. I send out about one a week on average. Sometimes I'll skip a week, but generally 50, 52 a year. And every time I'd see him, "How you doing, Ted? It's good to see you, Ted. How's your business doing, Ted?" And I never really told him what I did. And he'd reply back occasionally to my emails. And one day I sent something out. As you know, I have these little notes to self, miscellaneous ramblings from a slightly deranged mind.
Right.
And it said the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it's taken place. And I forget who said that. And I sent that out, and he calls me, "Ronnie, we need to talk." And so I sat down with him. He goes, "I want to hire you. How much?" Now, keep in mind, I'd never told him what I do for a living. He had gotten to know me. He had gotten to know me through my emails, and then every time I saw him, "How you doing, Ted? What's going on, Ted?" And so my point in all this is that here I've created, and you've done the same thing, Russ. I've created a very lucrative business based on my personality, that where I control my time, and I only do business with people I want to do business with. I mean, here it is before noon, and me and you are both up talking about this stuff. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And but it's
It is crazy.
cool. It's fun. See, and somebody who was I watching that talked about, and I know we've probably talked about it before, but you've got to love something a whole lot because that's what's going to get you to stick with it long enough to get good at it. And all this is us talking, and all it is us adding value to the planet. And I think a lot of times we minimize what we know. We think, oh man, that's, who doesn't know that?
Oh,
I mean, everybody knows it.
I'm so guilty of that.
But you can't do it because there's
No.
so many, especially with this new media, Russ.
Yeah.
I mean, you know more than literally 95% or more of the people out there, probably 98 or 99%.
And that's
See?
you touched on it earlier is in your statement was I have a philosophy of, I would be doing this even if it weren't my business. I mean, this is what I love to do. So I design my life around what I would want to do on vacation. And if I could do that and then leverage it to, other people, then, they're going to pay me money for sharing my thoughts and my information and looking at strategy and helping them in their business. They can come up to me and I can I can give you 20 ideas before noon about how you can make changes and improve.
Well,
So,
and it's Russ, it's called adding value, and it's
yeah.
no different than traditional business. See? I mean, I tell people all the time, and a good metaphor I use is, I used to sell new homes for over 10 years. I was very fortunate. I had a good run. And if you think about it, if me and you go out and build a house, do we need to go to a new home builder in Houston, or can we build our own?
Or we could build our own.
We could build our own house.
Yeah.
So why, if that's the case, Russ, think about it. If that's the case, and it is, that's a fact, why is there a need for all these new home builders in Houston?
It's time.
Well, it's an expertise.
Well, and I've built a few homes in my life, and it's surprising how much people don't know.
Well, but my point is, that's my point exactly. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you know
Should do
how
it.
to do it, should do it, or have the desire to do it,
Yeah,
right?
and that goes back to expertise. Is that if I had somebody develop a product or a service in their expertise, it's going to take them a quarter of the time for than it would for me to do it because they already know and understand all the shortcuts, the tricks, everything that goes into it to make it easier.
Well,
And that's you've learned that over time, and it takes time. That's the road to expertise is understanding all of the things that framing up a house. It'd take me 3 times, 10 times as long as somebody that does it every single day.
right, because they have a whole crew. They have the system
Yeah,
down. See?
exactly.
Well, and I call it uh, enhance your learning curve by leveraging the experience of others. See? So I didn't want to go out and take an 8-hour course and jump out of an airplane at 14,000 feet by myself. I could have. I just wanted that sensation of jumping out of an airplane, so I did a tandem. So I had this little dude strapped to my back.
Right.
That's how I did it. We recently, me and Catherine went to Cozumel and went scuba diving, and I could have well, first of all, I took a course here, and if I hadn't have taken a course and gotten certified, no way I could have done it down there. I mean, I could have took a resort course, but my point is, I wouldn't have had enough courage to do it because it's a lot involved. I don't know if you've ever done it. Have you ever scuba dived?
No, I've snorkeled a lot and I've thought about scuba diving
You'd
only.
love it. You'd love it. It's an amazing, amazing thing.
Yeah.
But my point was the dude that certified me here had over 10,000 dives. So when he told me how to do this, do you think he had any credibility?
Absolutely.
The dude knew exactly what he was doing. So I didn't have to go have 10,000 dives. He showed me all the shortcuts and this is how you do it. So when we got down to Cozumel, I was a lot more comfortable jumping out of that boat into the ocean, right?
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so my whole point in this is you have that expertise. If you're a realtor, if you're whatever you do. I mean,
Insurance agent,
insurance, financial planner, uh, you're a dog groomer, you're whatever. I don't care,
life coach.
whatever. A life coach, a teacher somewhere, a
Yeah.
music teacher, right? You have the ability now to set you up a platform, a base online, and attract people to you that want to pay you for your service. You
Well,
know?
well, and I'm a huge believer in the fact that our education system is changing, it's evolving, and it needs to be disrupted by some of these individuals teaching in unique ways, and you see it with Udemy and Mixergy and Lynda.com and all of these educational organizations that are teaching classes on certain subjects, specific subjects
Online.
online, and it's accelerating the way we learn, and technology is accelerating as a result of the technology. People are coming up with new technology all the time that's accelerating past the ability to educate the population. So we're going to have to think about different ways and interesting and unique processes now that learning and technology have taken a little spin into the future.
Well, you say our education system needs to be impacted. Is that the word you used?
I said disrupted.
Oh, disrupted. I like that word. But I will say that it not only needs to be disrupted, Russ, it's already being disrupted. And
Absolutely.
here's a tweetable. You can be disrupted, or you can be the disruptor.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the disruptor.
It's kind of like, there's a conversation going on about you online, and you can either lead that conversation or ignore it. You know.
Well, and that's part of the service that I've been working on with a couple of businesses. You have a brand personality. Every channel, Facebook has a personality, LinkedIn has a personality, and Twitter has a personality, and you have a personality of your business. And if you don't manage it, other people are going to think about what you do and how you present your business. I mean,
Well,
it's
they're
out
gonna.
there.
I tell people you either brand yourself or somebody else will brand you, and
Absolutely.
or they won't talk about you. And if they're not talking about you, then you got other issues, right?
Much
Um,
bigger issues.
bigger issues. So I tell people you must be seen to sell, and money follows action.
Yeah.
And so now you have the ability to be seen. You talked about all these channels. I kind of look at it as different little water coolers or different little parties that
Yeah.
have their own personality. They have different people hanging out at them, right? And so once you get a platform set up, you have and create some content, you have the ability to go share that content and add some value to that group, right?
Well, yeah, not only that is that you have to do it in a way that's consistent with your philosophy, your business, your goals, your target market, your audience. You wouldn't necessarily walk into IHOP and go to table and start handing out your business cards. I mean, it's not consistent with the channel, right?
Right. But what you would do, and that's why I'm so big on this, is no matter which restaurant you go to, no matter what party you go to, no matter what channel you visit online, what did we say? Everything begins with starting a conversation. And so if you can get really good at starting conversations with people, I mean, I look back and, when you're successful, Russ, you've been through this. When you're successful at something, people always want to know how you became successful, right?
Right.
And so I kind of went back and looked and analyzed when I was in real estate. And then I went and I've done the same with my business now that I've built. Is I think it all boils down to just one or two things mainly. And one of them is I, I'm comfortable with who I am. I know who I am. I know where I stand, and I don't give a damn about what other people think about me. The quicker you get to that point in your life, the happier you'll be. The second thing is I've always been good at starting conversations with people. And, I look at it, it's kind of like the lottery, okay? If you start a conversation with somebody, nothing may happen, right? But if you
Well,
don't start a conversation with somebody,
it's
guaranteed.
guaranteed nothing's gonna. Hey,
Well,
you said something the other day that struck a chord with me too. Is that and it's universal law with yes, until you get started, nothing's gonna happen. And the other side of that is develop a system that you can have consistency in, that you can simplify, and and simplification is not as easy as people say, oh, it's simple. Well, it's easy but not simple. And so sometimes you have to.
no, the other way around. It's simple but not easy. Because number one, you got to change the way you think. I was just thinking
Well,
about
I was
this.
no, I was going to turn it around for the point of saying, you know, you
It
you
looks easy, but it's
you
not simple.
sell simplicity.
Right.
You sell the brand and the website and everything that goes along with that. It's easy. You make it easy for people to have a simple interface to brand their message, right?
Right. And so I tell people it'll work in any business. If you want people to give you money, simplify their life.
Make
Simple
it
and
easy.
fun is better than complicated and boring. See? And if you can do that, I mean, again, going back to new home sales or whatever business you're in, if you're a tax
Right.
accountant, if you're a financial planner, all you're offering to do is to simplify that person's life. Take that little issue they have off of them and say, hey, I'm going to take care of that issue for you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to simplify your life. And so when you start understanding how that works, I always say genius is the ability to make the complicated simple. I'll give you a really good story, and this is another thing that I'm very big on is your currency. Your story is your currency. Get good at telling stories. I was when I was in new home sales, uh, I closed a house. I think it was like 3 or 4 days, which my record back then was 48 hours. Um, but I sold this house, and my boss come out and he goes, "Man, Mr. Easy Money," because he knew it happened pretty quick. And you
Right.
know what, Russ? I looked at him and I said, "Jim," I said, his name was Jim.
Jim.
uh, I said, "Jimmy," I said, "it wasn't easy. I just made it look easy." And he just looked at me and smiled. And so that's what people are coming to you for. Whatever your expert status is, wherever your brand equity is, right? Whatever
Yeah.
you know how to do, they want to pay you for that so it'll simplify their life. See? And so if you get good at that and you get a system that you can deliver that, man, you can make a lot of money.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's totally amazing. And so I think with these little talks every week, and we haven't really decided when we're going to do them every week, but we'll get that. Just want people to watch these, to participate, to get value out of it, because we want you to know what we're thinking and how we're doing it. Because contrary to popular belief, uh, I'm not a genius. Now I know Russ is, so that belief is true, but
I
I'm
am
not.
not a genius.
I'm not a techie. I don't want to be a techie. I have a very short attention span. But I think one of my strengths, and it always has been, is to um, talk about things in a simple way that people understand it. And
Right.
so that's what I want to do on these talks, Russ, is, just sit down and us talk. And, I always tell people my goal is to get you to use your brilliant mind. You have a brilliant mind. If you use it, it'll amaze you. And one of my goals with this, and I'm sure you agree, is that I want people to listen to us and you go, no, those two guys make sense. They're kind of crazy most of the time, and there's a few things they say I don't agree with. But my goal is to get you to think about the power you have. Think about the ability you have. Think about the control you have. You really do have control over everything in your life.
And everybody has a gift they can share. I don't
Right.
care. I don't care what it is, where you are, what you're thinking in life. You have a message that you can share, and others will resonate with. And it's going back to the cooler. You just have to have the opportunity. And right now, you have the opportunity. You can do it in the privacy of your own home. You can start with something as simple as a smartphone. It doesn't matter. You have something that you can start with, and that's the thing. Is all you have to do is get started, and
As you
you know,
go, once you're started, like we said, once you get started, it gives you confidence, right?
right.
And then once you get started, you have something to correct and make better, to refine and simplify. If you never get started, you never have anything to get better,
You
right?
can't tweak nothing.
Right. You can't correct nothing.
That is a tweetable.
That is a tweet. I was telling Catherine yesterday. I was like, me and Russ were talking. And he's always going, "That's a tweetable. That's a tweetable." I'm like, most people don't even know what Twitter is, and you're going to go tweetable. What does that mean? But
We could talk about that in another episode. So, hey,
yeah,
did you notice what time we started?
and I know it's already like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
So we said 30 minutes. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up and just
Yeah,
tell people. Number one, I always enjoy talking with you.
it's always a pleasure.
And what we want to do again on these is, if you want to get a hold of Russ, that's russjohns.com. If you want to get a
And
hold of me,
it's ronaldwilshire.com.
there you go. And let us know if we can help you. Our goal, again, is to have fun, to get you to think. And it's like I told somebody the other day, remember, the cool thing about fun, as long as you're having fun, it's impossible to waste time. So,
Oh, and the other thing to remember is you never have to go on vacation if you create the life you love.
right. I think Seth Godin was talking about that. He's like, man,
Yeah.
create your life to where you don't look forward to going on vacation. So
You could take
anyway,
a pause. You could take a pause and shift your brain cells around. But overall, we should all be able to have the opportunity to enjoy our life.
well, and that's the goal. That's the goal of everything now because we all have access to the masses. We all have access to the tools that allow us to own our life and control our time. You
Good
know,
deal.
and I think it's important. So anyway, it's good to talk to you. We'll wrap it up. Ronald Earl Wilshire, and that's Russ Johns.
And this
Uh,
is the R&R broadcast, branding for humans.
and we're going to have fun with these. So have a good day, sir, and we'll talk at you again before too long.
I'll track you down later.
All righty. Adios.